Hi, friends. Welcome to Great People Interview Series. Today, we have a fantastic person, Victoria Williams. Victoria, welcome to the session.
Thank you very much for having me and the invitation. I'm honored to be here.
Friends, uh, she is absolute wealth of knowledge and experience when it comes to international business, careers, and so on. She's absolutely driven by social impact. So today, if you are thinking, well, I want to do international career, but what are my pathways? What are the key um, tips and tricks? Well, this is the session for you, right? Because Victoria not only will speak, but she's actually experienced staying in different countries and then coming back to the UK again. And she can kind of help us understand the nitty gritties. But before I dive into the conversation, let me formally introduce and tell you, what she does. She is SVP and head of Central and Southern Europe at GSK. Yes, GSK, the big GSK. She leads the commercial business across 21 markets. So you see why I'm talking international careers with her. Uh, she ensures innovative medicines and vaccines reach the patients. With 27 years at GSK and extensive international experience, she's here with us because of her passion to improve healthcare outcomes, developing high performing and diverse teams. Welcome, I will just say, Vicky, once again.
Thank you so much. And yeah, that's a fantastic introduction.
Pleasure. Well, so tell us more about these 21 markets that you lead. What exactly is your role with GSK and a little bit about your journey?
Sure, yeah. So I lead the commercial business for GSK across Central and Southern Europe. Some of the markets within the 21 are countries like Greece, Poland, Austria, Portugal. And I work closely with the general managers to ensure that our innovative medicines and vaccines get to the patients who need them. And that involves partnering with governments, healthcare systems, and doctors to make sure that the right information about our products and our science is available so that fundamentally the right treatments can be available and chosen for the right patients. And I've worked at GSK for 27 years. I started on the graduate program, and my career has taken me to lots of different markets, mainly in Europe, but I've also worked globally. And I'm passionate about international careers and the benefits of those, but also the challenges that I faced and my family have faced that I think need to be considered before embarking on this route. But
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think people talk about the benefits, but we also have to be prepared for the challenges. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Me
Um,
too.
so could you just tell us a little bit more about your journey, how you spent these years, and how your international career kind of went over these 27 years?
Absolutely, yes. So I spent the first 10 years of my career in the UK and never really initially planned an international career. I didn't know anyone who'd done it. It just wasn't something that I ever thought about. But my first move really came from a personal conversation. I was in France on holiday with my husband, and we said, oh, wouldn't it be great to work in France for a while? And we had a European office, and I went back and said to my boss at the time, I'd really love to have a placement in the European office in Paris. And I think 3 months later, I found myself working in Paris, and we moved there. And what started as a 2-year placement became 10 years in France, 3 children later who were all born in France. and it was such an accelerator of my career. And I started in the European office, but then I worked in the French company, learnt French, and then led the teams in French. In
Wow.
France, I ended up leading a team there of about 450 salespeople. So it was a really transformative experience.
So
Um,
let me repeat that number. You said 450 people?
yeah, led by an English sales director. That's right, exactly. Um,
Oh,
so that was
oh,
a real test of my French. So after that,
yeah.
I moved to Austria, and I was the general manager of all of the GSK business in Austria, which was, a great leadership opportunity, lots of interactions with the government, external work. And then I moved back to the UK during the pandemic, and I was launching a COVID treatment in partnership with a San Franciscan biotech to governments really during the pandemic, to really combat COVID, and it was a monoclonal antibody for COVID. After that, I moved to Germany as the general manager, and was responsible for the German business. And then most recently moved back to London to manage my current role, which is Central and Southern Europe. So yeah, I just have learned so much from working and leading in different international contexts that I can only really advise people to pursue it if they have the opportunity.
Yeah. I think we're talking at the right time when you have actually completed the circle, started with UK, came back to UK. So you can actually talk about going abroad, coming back, and everything. Wow,
Exactly.
fantastic. Um, so lots of people dream of working internationally, but they're not sure where to begin. So what are the practical steps you recommend, for building a strong foundation for a global career?
Yeah. So I think, firstly, whether at your university or in your early career, I think first of all, learning foreign languages really helpful, even if it's relatively basic. I think if you can show an interest in other language, whether it's Spanish, French, German, I think always advise. I didn't do that, and I wish I had, because I had to learn as an adult. But I think also, if you're in an organization or in a university or study context, be really explicit about your aspiration to work internationally. I really wish that I'd moved earlier on in my career, where my life was a little bit simpler and not married and without children. And so I wish I'd been explicit about that earlier. I think what's also really good are the seeking short-term international assignments or projects, so that you can gain exposure to what it's like to work internationally. Also, work in diverse teams, so you can get used to flexing your style to different cultures, different languages. I think also this just gives people confidence that when you are working internationally, that you'll be able to do it. I think some really good opportunities are things like study programs or graduate schemes with international elements that can really strengthen this foundation and prepare you for an international career in the future. So really seize those opportunities, I would say.
Wow, fantastic. Well, that's a great takeaway, friends. So seize the opportunity, go international if you can, but prepare yourself stronger with language skills and other areas that we could just said. But if you notice, it's not just your domain skills and technical skills, it's the other areas surrounding it which will make you succeed in those geographies. So just pay attention to that detailing that Victoria just gave us. Well, from there, we talking about skills and qualities. Um, what kind of mindsets as well do you think employers are looking for when they're looking for a global workforce? So either when I say global workforce, either those people who are aspiring to move to another country and work, or maybe just work remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. Really important question. So, employers like GSK not only value technical expertise, but also strong leadership capabilities and ability to work across cultures. So I would really say being adaptable, collaborative, and able to work or lead diverse teams is really essential. And that does involve um, being able to listen to people from different backgrounds, being able to adapt your style to different cultures and ways of working. This is really important if you want to try and get successful outcomes in international roles. So to prepare, look for opportunities where you'll be working on cross-border projects, engage with multicultural teams, and to develop that broader global context. This was my first lesson when I left the UK. It's like, oh, not everybody works like the Brits.
Yeah.
I need to start to understand and really listen to much broader opinions and approaches. That is just so critical for successful international role.
Yes, absolutely. And a successful leader is not the one who instructs people what to do, but it actually listens to people what they would like to do and then facilitate their path from there. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, the modern leader is not the one who knows most. I mean, the modern leader is the one who can get the best out of people around them and can inspire, develop, and focus an organization. It's not the best leader is not the expert in the room, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that reminds me of a joke that even we used to crack when we were juniors, uh, because we always wanted to joke about the managers, right? So you'll say managers are the ones who sit at the top and do nothing.
Hang on, we're inspiring. We're sitting there inspiring everybody.
Yeah. Well, I'm leading as well now, so you know,
Yeah.
but it's somewhere in the past. But anyway, I think the audience knows the benefits of
Yeah.
international careers and so on. But I think what we want to reveal in this discussion is the challenges. So, if you would like to throw some light on the challenges and maybe some of those that you faced and overcome.
Yeah. So we've talked about, the enormous benefits in terms of development of international roles. I think one of the biggest challenges for me has been managing the personal impact of international moves. So relocating as a family, raising children abroad, adapting to different cultural norms. We've always moved as a family, so I've got 3 children, and it's been incredible as an adventure, but it hasn't always been easy. So we decided when we left France that my husband would give up working to enable our moves and be there for the children. But in a country like Austria, that was not the norm. That was not the social norm that the husband would be at home and supporting the children. And we've really had to. There's been times when I've loved my job, but he's been struggling, or he's really felt what was his purpose. Was it just there to
Yeah,
support the family? And so we've gone through these sort of highs and lows with different moves. And I think the biggest challenge for me was making sure that the move was not just successful for me, but that it was successful for us as a family, and that
yeah.
it needed to work for all of us. So, it's a real collaborative effort, and you need to think through that. You need to make sure that your communication as a family is really brilliant, and that you're enabling it to be a successful opportunity for everybody. I think my learning is it is a collaborative effort. Definitely, it strengthened my empathy, decision making, and now we look back at it, and we're back in London. We look back at it as this incredible opportunity. But there's been times when it was really hard for everyone to find their place in it. It wasn't easy. So as much thinking as you can do about that in advance, the better.
Yeah, and I mean, hats off to your husband. You know, after going through these difficult patches, you stood together, you faced that challenge, and you come through it. So I guess, one is, the audience, you either need to be very much prepared, and if you're not prepared, right, just make sure what you're getting into. Uh,
Exactly.
and if it
I
is
think,
not for you, it is not for you.
yeah, you need to think about, for example, you're probably going to be in a great role that you're loving, but you need to think about what is your partner going to be be doing all day in a
Yeah.
foreign country, and how are you going to support them? My husband has done a number of different qualifications during this time, so that he's prepared now when he's coming back to the UK for work. But that is really important to think through, because it's not a holiday for them; it's real
Yeah.
life.
Yes, yes. I think a very crucial point, great takeaway for those, who are already in that process. Probably they, halfway through their journey and they're just trying to figure out. Maybe it is great example for them to, fight with whatever situation they are in. Uh, I guess, just moving away from this and talking about, because we also have in the audience the educationists, people who are senior members of the universities. So, a question probably that can help them, and I'll keep it a little generic. Universities, obviously, we know play a crucial role in preparing students for the industry. Some universities try and make it a little more so that the students are prepared for global environments. Uh, but in your view, what universities can do more or better? Um, not we're not discussing any specific geography, and we're just saying if that university is already doing it, great. But if you're not doing it, this is something that you can do.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I did absolutely not have the skills or even the foresight when I left university about the benefit of an international career. So I think universities can really better prepare students by offering programs with international exposure, such as study abroad years, or placements or projects that involve working internationally. In the UK, for example, many courses now do have a year abroad, and then the degree is a 4-year course. I think this is really important. I think that even if somebody has not studied languages at school, universities offering language learning as part of the offering is really important,
Yeah.
to prepare people. I mean, it's never too late to learn, even the basics of language, and that really does help as you're going into a global career. It's also brilliant for empathy. So I'm, got the fortunate situation that English is my mother tongue. Trying to learn a language makes you much more empathetic when you're dealing with people where English isn't their first language.
Yeah.
Learning French as an adult was one of the most humbling experiences of my career, and it gives you a much more empathy and patience when you're dealing with other colleagues.
And I think
I think
what I learned from you is language is probably just a starting point, but in general, you're appreciating the culture and you're
exactly,
appreciating that there is going to be a difference. And I'm happy to be one of you rather than being me. uh,
exactly. I mean, you very much appreciate that. People might choose slightly different words than you would,
yeah,
or maybe say something, but then you just need to check what they mean. But you've got much more empathy for that when you've
yeah.
tried to go through learning a foreign language. I think I would also say the more that universities can expose their students to different cultures and different working environments, whether it's working with universities abroad on some projects, it's this cultural piece. It
Yeah.
gives their students a significant advantage of understanding that we are not all the same and we work in different ways. And the earlier we understand that, I think the more successful you can have an international career.
Absolutely, absolutely, and especially if we're talking about UK European universities, I think because there are bigger consumer markets available for us. Uh, if you have gone there and been there, you appreciate, oh, what is it that I can sell here for what price? What's the wrapper it needs to have compared to what we have in the UK. So you could be a better um, entrepreneur if you know
Exactly.
the realities, and vice versa. If I'm talking to some of my audience, which is from Africa, Asia, and different countries, if you want to be successful in the UK and European, again, you have to understand, what are their safety norms, healthcare expectations, and what is considered as standard, right? If you know that, and then you will be able to package whatever you're trying to sell into UK and European market or in general Western market, and then you make a better um, business proposition by doing so. So I think exchanging, and nowadays, well, if you get a physical travel opportunity, great, fantastic. But if not, there's a lot available over remote. But you
Exactly.
interact live. I don't go onto the chat GPTs and other AIs who are giving you answers from their databases. Because I think when you interact with the likes of Victoria, for example, you actually come to know specifics and based out of experience. But anyway, I think that those were just 2 cents from my side. Uh, and moving on, I think we try and understand more about your role, and when you're actually doing this innovative, well, you're encouraging innovation within GSK. uh,
Mm.
how do you actually execute some of these ideas in the difficult financial and challenging times that we have today?
Yeah, I mean, we are facing challenging times, but patients need medicines and patients need new innovative medicines, against some of the global health crises, whether it's cancer or, preventable diseases. So, a huge challenge, I think, like all of us are facing, is the kind of macroeconomic and political environment where governments are facing across the world increasing financial pressure, and particularly in Europe there's a rising demand on defense spending as the US is kind of demanding more from NATO, and also because of the threat, for example, following the Ukraine Russian war. So there's a real risk that governments start to see healthcare as a budget that they can divert money from into defence. But actually, our priority is to ensure that governments still see healthcare as an investment rather than a cost.
Yeah,
And actually, investing in a healthy country is also a very sustainable
yeah,
country. So, and part of this is that patients continue to have access to innovative medicines and vaccines at a fair price. And so, a lot of our work is really about working with governments to ensure that they see what they spend in health as an investment in their population.
fantastic, fantastic. Well, and some of our audience is also going to be um, businesses in the UK, maybe small to medium businesses, or just startups, entrepreneurs. So, any advice that you would like to give them?
I think I would say just do something that you are genuinely passionate about. I studied science at university. I loved science. I knew that I didn't want to be, in a lab, because I liked the practicalities of science, and I found that in healthcare and medicine. So I would say, when people focus on what truly excites them, they tend to be more committed. They then tend to be more successful. So rather than chasing sort of only financial outcomes, build on something you truly believe in, and ultimately, this will lead not only to sort of personal fulfillment, but also professional success. I mean, when you're dealing with people, you can see when they've got the fire behind their eyes, and that's extremely engaging. And then, so I would say, just find something that you're passionate about and run it full speed.
Yeah. I think that's probably very important. I would probably say the full speed is the important part, because I think we always talk about, and in my previous conversations also we said, you know, if you're passionate about it, you could be successful. But I think still people miss out the full speed, which I mean is, uh, you need to have full focus. Uh, Something that you're doing as part time is always going to go down because you don't give it full attention.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely to go to those levels that you expect. So we say that, well, there are so many startups, but only a small percentage succeed. The reason being the others have the major reason that they are doing that as a side hustle or as an additional task rather than their core focus. If it is your core focus, you have better chances of being successful. So great point, Vicky. I think that full speed is something that you can register as your trademark. I like that word, and I think that's a great piece of advice. I think we got something for every bit of the audience. So thank you so much for your time, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm delighted to talk to you. I hope that's helpful for your listeners.
Definitely. Thank you.